Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. Well, I thought normally I would kick it off with a quite deep question, but
You're going to change it up for me
going
now.
to change it up for yourself, yeah. So I just thought this will be a really cool episode because I saw you through LinkedIn initially. It was on a podcast and you were actually a host of Women in Logistics.
Correct.
Yeah. So I thought, do you know what? You've been on that similar journey to some of the guests that we've had on, and you're doing a similar podcast. So I just thought it'd be quite interesting to know your story.
Okay.
I know you'll probably spend a lot of your time interviewing other guests and stuff like that. But, I know you've been successful and you're in a good place now. So I thought it'd be good to, know your story basically.
Yeah, absolutely. From the beginning of how I fell into it, or where do you want me to start?
Well,
I can start in many places.
I'm now going to go into, I guess, when did you know you were going to be a business leader?
Okay.
And where were you at in life? What was going on?
Do you know what? From a very young age, going back to school age, I've always been buying and selling. And I know that sounds mental, but I used to have to take a double decker to get to school, the school commute, right?
Yeah.
And I quickly figured out that after school, everyone was quite hungry and people were going, have you got any sandwiches left? Have you got any of this? So I actually started selling sweets on the school bus.
Love that. So
me and my dad every evening would go to the co-op at the top of the road. We'd buy a huge share of packs of malwams, the strips and the blocks. And then I would keep them in my bag all day. And then at the end, I would go around the bus and basically sell malwams for 50 pence. And then store up, go buy some more. And then so I've always, from kind of that very young age, kind of been buying and selling a bit of a Del Boy road.
You knew how it worked.
Yeah. And then I think, I've just always, from when I fell into logistics, and, I was very lucky in the first role that I fell into that we can touch on, but it was very much a startup brand, and watching that go from 0 to 50 million and being heavily involved in that, being employee number 4. So being really tight to watching that build. And we've been that, that earlier on, it's being, heavily investing in around the CEO all the time, CFO, really getting involved in P&Ls from very early doors. Yeah. Trying to understand how the business works from all different functions. And I really enjoyed watching a business scale. Yes. And I just kind of knew that I wanted to have something as well.
Was that Amara Living?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was my first. I started there when I was 17.
Right, okay.
Completely fell into that, as we all do in logistics. Yeah. I'm waiting to meet someone that said, heard it, loved it.
Yeah,
went to apply, right?
It. Yeah.
Still waiting for that. And then, so it was very early on. I knew I just wanted to be a manager, learn. I'm forever trying to learn, even now. I'm still reading books. I'm still, learning things, going out, talking to different people, going for lunches with, other entrepreneurs who have been very successful and kind of having conversations with them. So, from very early ages, I've always tried to develop and try to be the best that I can, and kind of going through the ranks to kind of know, I've just always had this thing that I wanted to have my own business.
Yeah. How did it start with Amara Living? Because you said it was a team of 4. You were the 4th person to join.
Fifth? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But maybe 5th employee.
Got you.
I actually I'd done media studies at college, right? And I applied for university, East London University, actually, to do journalism, to follow on. But I knew it was because all my friends were then doing that, right? So I was kind of following. But I knew education just wasn't for me. In school, I would always be in trouble for, always trying to talk, or I was never good at kind of just sitting and listening, right? Yeah. It was more, I wanted to do stuff, physical pieces, so forth. So I decided that actually to take a gap year, just apply for the gap year. So I'll see what kind of comes up in between. And at that point, at 17, your life is social, right? So it's okay, well, I can't have a social life and not have a job.
Yeah.
So I need to fund that social life. So I needed a job. So essentially, I just applied for so many different jobs. Anyone that could take me that I could get, you know, some decent money. I think I was at Pizza Hut at the time.
Oh, right.
And I knew Pizza Hut wasn't a full-time role for me.
Yeah.
It was just a side job. And then Amara Living came through.
Yeah.
Went for the interview, got accepted. It was a husband and wife family business, which I really liked. It was 10 minutes away from me. Andrew and Sam were running it. And I kind of joined, I think I was an assistant was my role, maybe, an assistant. And I was doing, I mean, we would only have like 2-3 orders a day. Yeah. So I would do the picking and packing of that, the shipping, a bit of customer services, a bit of link building, marketing. Yeah. It was doing a bit of everything, which I really loved. And then just naturally, as that business grew, I loved the logistics side. Yeah. And then that's kind of the role that I
seeing
essentially...
the goods move and how they were handled and It was just this whole new world to me, right? So I'd never even heard the word logistics really before. I didn't have any clue what it was. But I think it was because it was this whole new world that I knew nothing about. Yeah. And I was like, I have to learn this. Like something like, how can I not understand this? Do you know, it was exciting. Yeah. And I would sit and I remember like at 17, 18, being at Amara, I'd watch all the YouTube videos, like how to do this and read the books and, you know, really try and teach myself. And I'd go to conferences back then. So as we were building, me and Andrew, we would both take a road trip. We'll go to the conferences and go try and find partners and how we build what we do next. Yes. And it was just that whole new world to me that was just so exciting. And I think because, and the reason why we all love it today, right, is it's just so many moving parts. And there's just always something new to learn that I just loved and I still love. Yeah. Sad, isn't it? We all, we're all in, like, everyone in logistics. It's kind of like, you know, we just still love it just because there's so much still to learn. But I think that's why I ultimately narrowed into it. It was this whole new world. Yeah. And I love that, you know, like some of the people that have come on here and their success and stuff, like, you know, they all started from similar place, you know, just entry level, you know, they're a graduate, student, whatever. And they've ended up sort of going down that path of rising to the top. And it's like, you know, the more I'm podcasting, the more I'm finding out that there's like a similarity in that. But then like somehow they end up the drive or motivation or something gets in there. And really I feel like that's quite nice, isn't it? Because we've going through, like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now by just coming in at a certain level, right? And I think that's really important to a lot of people who now have been successful, whatever. It's actually just learning through those ranks, because I always say to my team, whatever have you, the attention is in detail. Like, it's the small details that make the big wins. Like, you have to be focused on those details. Yes. And, you know, what makes that client happy, what the end consumer ultimately. But it's those small things that make a huge difference. So I just think you only know those details by, you know, being that assistant, being in the warehouse, you know, seeing how it operates, you know, really working through. I think it's really important, and then you have a whole level of respect for your team, and you know. So what was your role when you left? By the time you'd left, because you were there 10 years? Yeah, 10. It was like 9.5, 10 years. I was then head of logistics, so I'd gone from assistant to I think I was then probably an operations assistant, then to manager, fulfillment logistics manager, to then head of. Got you. Yeah. And how many people would you say you were managing at that point? I was managing. I was probably managing around about 10, and then we outsourced. So we had the warehouse was in-house. Got you. To begin with, because obviously we were building up, right? Yeah. So we actually developed our own WMS system at that point. We decided not to partner with, and we built our own WMS system at that point. We had it in-house. Before the WMS, I was the WMS. So it was like, Sarah just knows where everything is. Yeah. If I went on holiday or whatever, it's kind of like, where is this? So we had then the WMS, and then we decided to outsource. Yeah.
And then we basically built, well, at that point, actually, the owner of the company, because we were still learning, he said, do you want to now go into, customer services, that, logistics has gone, what do we do with you, basically? Yeah. And I said, no, I don't want to be in customer services. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. And then we soon realised that actually, you still have to manage a 3PL, right? You still have to manage all the carriers and all of that. So I stayed where I was and but made it to head of, and then managing the team, which was really interesting, being so young, managing a team. I learned so much from that role and that job, so much.
And are you allowed to say like who you used as a 3PL back then? Who did you decide to go for?
we initially outsourced to a company called Delamode because they were around the corner from us.
Okay.
And then we outgrew Delamode. We were there for a couple of years. Then we outgrew Delamode and we moved on to Clipper Logistix. So we went into Northampton, met Tony and the team.
Yeah.
Really got on with them. Tony was a great guy. And we moved into Clipper Logistix and we were very happy there, to be fair.
Oh, mega. And then from Amara Living, what was then your next step? What did you...
I then went in with the LVMH brands. So I then went in with Benefit Cosmetics, which was really exciting. I really loved the role there. It was a great brand to work for. Very fun, very bold, very fun. So it was very different from going from luxury homeware into beauty.
Yes.
Right? It was a complete step change. And obviously there was a lot of B2B, whereas before it was heavily B2C. The B2B we were doing was with kind of interior designers at Amara Living, whereas obviously we had to look after all the retail stores for Benefit. But I really enjoyed that role, actually. So I went in as kind of the head of ops for the UK and Ireland, because it's split by region with the LVMH. But that was really exciting, actually.
And what were they, turning over by the time? Because I know you said you joined at the beginning of Amara.
Yeah, so I went in completely different there. It was around about 100 mil. It was with the complete B2B, B2C as a total. So it was a complete change, to be honest. I think if you go from a startup and you build with that startup to then go in at a very corporate brand, it's very different. But it was really exciting, very exciting. And actually, it was, you do look at when you come from a startup, you think, okay, are they going to have everything in place? Is there much I can do? But there was still a lot to do. And it was, I had a great team that I kind of come into, because again, I built my team back at Amara, whereas with, I inherited a team, but they were a great team, to be fair. The whole team there were lovely, super welcoming. I was there for about a year, but I really enjoyed that.
And were you in talks with other companies, or was it almost like a standalone, just stars of aligned moment with that, with that move?
From Amara to, so basically it was when COVID hit. I was at Amara. And I actually think where everyone worked from home, I kind of lost my purpose a little bit. And I think that actually forced me to think, okay, I know this, right? What am I learning now? What can I go on to do?
Yes.
But I feel like having that time at home and being kind of alone, if you like, I found that hard. And I just think that actually pushed me to think, I think I actually personally need to develop further now. And I think I need to move on and go somewhere else. 10 years is a long time. I'm very grateful for everything there. It was great, but it was time for me to move. So I just started looking around, to be honest. And I seen the job advertised. I'm lucky to get it. Yeah.
Amazing. And how did you feel going from that, how did you feel going from that sort of more B2C into more your B2B? Did you feel like there was a surprising factor to it, or like, wow, they should have told me this, or, just any things that cropped up?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much. It was a very different mix. I think it's different inventory planning. It's, where your stock is, how you're bringing it in. It's completely shifts.
Yeah.
So I think the inventory piece I thought would be easier, but actually I had to learn all of that side of it kind of again, right? And actually listening to the teams in the store, because what they, if the stock's not there, then people get like, do you see what I mean? It's actually just dealing with the teams in the store as well. But I very quickly adapted to it, actually. And I think the team I had allowed me to do that. They were very good at what they were doing. Yeah. So I could then naturally go out, go visit people, go see what changes we could make. Mm-hmm. But I think I also brought the element of how do we deliver a good service because of that luxury client base that I was working with before. Yeah. For me, my forefront is always, no matter what role and what I'm doing now, is the customers first. So every decision is the customers first. Yeah. So I could go in and support them further in that as well. So I kind of gave something, but the inventory planning and that was the different beast that I had to then come across. But it was exciting again for me. It's something new. Let's do it. Yeah.
And what would you say has been was the biggest challenge in your career? Like where do you think do you know what?
Oh God.
There was a time I came across this and it was really tough. Or
do you know what? Because of the way the world moves, there's been so many times, like recently, tariff changes have been quite difficult. So there's been a lot of challenging times. I would say the one that's actually I've learned a lot from recently is we set up entities. Okay. And I was massively part of that, which was new to me again. So learning about the tax side of it, the legal side. So, working with the lawyers to get that over the line as well, because we essentially knew the way the world was going. So we started in the US, we set up an entity in the US.
Got you.
So learning about all of that side of things, also the tax. And then we set up an EU entity as well. So actually, I think that's challenged me because that's a whole different
You've never angle. Had to account or think about that side of it.
Never. So it was working really, really closely with our CFO, the lawyers, and myself and the development team, because obviously we had to build a whole different side of the ERP, everything else. So that was exciting. My first ever warehouse move, that was a challenge. That was my first, back in the day, moving this huge warehouse and having it on me. So I feel like there's been quite a lot of challenges, but I've always looked at them as, okay, it's exciting. How can we,
lean into it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think the entity piece, because it was so different from what I was doing before. Yeah. Managing the teams, managing the warehousing, looking at kind of the P&L, that type of thing.
That's really cool. So it's good sort of frame of mind, I guess, to have if you're thinking there's a mountain to climb or, there's an obstacle to get past. And I guess you've just not had that leg sweeping out from underneath you moment where something's catastrophe, something terrible's gone on. Basically.
There's always, don't get me wrong, with projects. So I've always managed projects. And I think, back at Amara, our first warehouse move, being a part of, managing the tenders and all of that. And, then with LVMH, there were some projects into a basque. We set that up together. Mm-hmm. I was there from the very beginning. Yeah. So I think there's always projects and there's things that go wrong in the project. They always do, but it's just, what's the solution, right? Okay, but we've had this, it's gone wrong. How do we make it? How do we resolve it? And make sure that the client doesn't know about it or doesn't feel it, or what do we do? It's just how you manage that together, essentially. But I've been quite lucky, to be fair. There's not anything that I can kind of go, okay, that was absolutely terrible. There's things along, I think the first thing that haunts me to this day that I learned very early on, I sent my first ever pallet and I would have been 17. And I accidentally sent a pallet to Austria instead of Australia. Because at that point we were manually clicking the countries, right? So that actually is the one that, out of everything, haunts me to this day, that I sent a pallet of, baobab candles to Austria instead of Australia. That's amazing. So I always learned to check my countries after that.
Yeah. Learned the lesson. Yeah. Learned the lesson. Well, what is it you're now doing? Because, I think, from talking off camera, it seems pretty exciting on how you've, how you've approached it and how you set it all up.
So at the moment we have a freight forwarding business, Smart Logistix, which handles all freight, imports, exports, customs. We do a lot of UK domestics. That's got a variety of customers, to be honest. We more so have volume on sea freight, so containers out of Asia into the UK. That's a predominant, channel for us. And we work really well in that area. We have a mixed bag of customers, anywhere from luxury to construction. We deliver into HS2 rails. We operate up to Ford's Gold. So that is a real mix. But it's really exciting because there's always something. Again, the rail's closed. Now we need to close the road. Do you see what I mean? So that's very exciting in certain ways. And then we have, which we launched very recently, Opstrive, which essentially is for startups, pre-revenue, so people coming into e-commerce, up to scaling brands as well that we support. So we basically have come in as a bit of a logistics agency, right? So we offer multiple services where we help design and build your Shopify website. We can deal with the freight, the import, exports, because we lean on and we have the sister Smart Logistix, right? So we do that very well tied in together. The e-commerce fulfillment side, and then we do things like reporting, data, and we basically have packages where we can add architecture if you're a scaling business into your brand, which basically streamlines your operations. So we offer a different pool of services. You can take a few, leave a few, and you can tailor as well. So we do. Cool. So for the one brand we're onboarding at the moment, we're doing all of their gifting, all their packaging, standard, and then they're going into the fulfillment center as well. So we're doing. So for me, it's when I look back at kind of building businesses and being the e-com side, we had so many different suppliers who were doing all different things. You have to manage all of those suppliers. So for me now, we are that supplier that, you come to us for those 5-6 different things. And you just manage, we have that relationship. And for me, it's not just transactional, it's a complete partnership, right? We're invested in you. We learn about your brand. We want to know your goals, the vision. We help you. We sit with you quarterly to help you plan. So it's taken my knowledge from
being on the retail,
that side, the flip side, the other side of the fence, and now supporting e-commerce brands, which is really exciting. And it's, I love seeing people come in and, we're here, we want to be there, and you can really see that passion, and you can get on board with it. And that's what I find exciting. And I guess
because you don't see it that too often where someone goes from the retail side into the logistics supplier side. Usually, some people do it the other way. But how did you find understanding the solution? When you went into freight forwarding, because I appreciate you will have used freight forwarders at Amara Living and the beauty cosmetic company. But how did you find learning? Was it much of a knowledge gap, or?
I'm still there's still things now where I'm okay, we could do that better. We're looking at building the tech platform. Do you know what I mean? There's still things. But for me, it's because, and again, it goes back to that going through and the ranks, right? And actually working, I was the person that was doing the day-to-day or some of the customs pieces. And, and one thing with me is when I was on the retail side, I was heavily invested with my suppliers. So I didn't just let them do what they wanted to do, essentially. I would sit with them. We had a really good relationship. I would really understand how they work. So, and I would see them all the time, which is really good. So every month I would kind of sit with them, or they would come see me. And so it's I've always known how they've operated, how they do things. The warehousing side, I was always, where are the reports? Where are this? I would go through all of the financial pieces. So I've always been heavily involved in the detail, right? In understanding, because for me on the retail side, it's how do we get the right cost? How do we make sure we've got the right service and everything else? So I spent a lot of time, really understanding that side of it to then be able to come in and, you know, I think for me it's...
yeah, that's interesting because like you hear stories where, you know, because you've been on the retail side, like you can be like, I know they're having me off on price, or I know that, you know, I
it's
know.
It's scary now coming this side and knowing now.
That's what
right?
I mean.
Yeah,
I feel like
there are some things I'm like, okay.
Have you had them moments where you look back at, I'm sure he, you know, back then he actually had a nice one on me.
There's a couple where I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. That's eye-opening. So no, don't get me wrong. There are a couple of things where I'm like, oh my God, and I paid that for that. Right?
Yeah.
And I think...
Could you give us an example?
I wouldn't want to say, but like, as in, I thought, you know, like, it's hard to say, but as in, you know, if I thought packaging was X and then it actually came in X, and I was like, oh my, you know, and there's you telling me that no, you had a small mark. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. They've almost given a sob story as to why they've got to charge so much.
You need to help us help you situation. And I'm like, no, I think you're okay, actually.
Yeah.
But what has been really nice, and, you know, I have really good relationships, and I've always been a person that the suppliers I've worked with, I've got long-term working relationship. Do you know, like my suppliers I've been with like 15 to 20 years. We know them personally. It's really nice. So I think having that relationship as well, you build a personal relationship with those brands and with, you know, the owners of those brands as well.
Yeah.
And actually, that's how you get to learn more. But yeah, sometimes the margins,
bit sneaky.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. I guess you touched on like you would go in and you really understand like how they operate. Is that like a norm? You know, is that normal for most people to do that, or do you think you just took it on yourself to be more involved or more, you know, look under the hood of the?
I think it depends on the brand. Yeah. I think, like, I speak to some brands now where you know, they're now our clients, and I've said, okay, do you have this? And they don't.
Right.
Like, and it shocks me actually. But then that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
I think because I've always been luxury retail, you have to be very invested in learning more about it to deliver that service. Yeah. And it's about that detail. I think it's down to the person. But again, I've always had that in me to go, okay, I want to learn that. I want to learn that. Yeah. So it's kind of in me as well. I know a lot of people that also operate the exact same as me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I'm hard grilled, like I have to know this. Do you know what I mean? Not like that. But yeah, I've always just wanted to learn more and more. And I think naturally that's helped me help build operationally these luxury brands as well. But I think it's, you know, it depends on the service, the price point. You know, the AOVs that we were at before, they're nearly £1,000. So if you're dealing with AOVs of that, your client has to have the best service, you know, and, you know, has to be seamless. So I have to know it inside out to deliver that service.
Was there ever a time where you got like a huge saving and it was like almost skipping to the boss's office to say, hey, I've done us a really nice one in terms of maybe tender or...
Yeah, so I've always ran tenders. And I think, you know, there was like a carrier saving when when we first started out, we were expressing everything, right? Because that's what we thought was the way. Just use one carrier, just express everything, customers happy. And then it started, you know, it was a time when everyone wanted it then, but then everyone shifted to convenience. As long as they kind of knew where the goods were, they were happy. So then we kind of looked at different lanes, adding on a carrier, and that was probably one of the biggest savings. But then even, you know, as we grew, retendering the warehouse, retendering some of the carrier rates at that point, I find any saving is like a yes moment for me. Do you know what I mean? The huge savings are fantastic and you get a few of them. But that's more so when you kind of shift the strategy a little bit, I think. Do you know, that's kind of like the big pivot. Yeah, exactly. You're changing kind of the part of the model, I would say.
Yeah.
But then, if you're kind of changing your freight forwarding services, or you're changing up, or you're just, do you know what? I don't like to kind of chop and change. Like I said, my relationships have been longer term.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to that as well. So it's pulling in those guys and having those conversations. Here's where we want to be. How can we do this together? Because you both have to win, right?
Yeah.
So you both to succeed and to deliver a good service, right? It's not just about cost.
Yeah.
So I know they have to make money to deliver that service for me. But the small wins were always, but we would kind of have conversations every year, right? And I think that's what you should be doing as a business, is every year looking at everything. What can we do? Yeah, definitely. Even down into the warehouse, you know, what changes can you make? You know, are you just doing gift boxing? Can you offer standard? Because then that reduces your pick time. And there's all different angles that you can go in at. Sometimes it's those small ones that isn't the huge, but it's something obvious. That it's not the obvious ones that actually you get more about. Oh yeah, that was really hidden, but we've dug deeper in there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
And what's your take on 3PL versus 4PL? Like, you know, as a service.
Yeah. So for us, so with Opstrive now, we are kind of looking to be like an asset light. Yeah. We want to be flexible. We want to be agile with our clients. Obviously, we're looking at international, what we're doing there as well. And I think the thing with the 4PL piece and where we position is, and that's the thing, rather than you having to manage the service provider, you know, manage the warehousing, manage your packaging supplier and so forth, is we essentially know how to look after. We know that relationship. We know what to look for. We know what to us, and we know what to push them on, and we know what good looks like. Not like an ego. Do you know what I mean? It's very ego driven, but we know what that looks like. So we do that for you, and we look after them. So I actually feel like we're more of like a control tower, right? Yeah. We look after the whole piece. And
that's a great way of putting it, by the way.
A control tower. Yeah, that's what we are. Yeah, that rather than kind of just focus on the one sector of it, we look at the whole piece. And I think actually it can deliver some really great results in that. You know, a lot of the clients that we're working with at the moment, they're completely firefighting. Yeah. Like literally putting out fires left, right and centre. And I'm not saying in logistics we don't, right? There's always something. But they're in that moment of, God, I've built this thing, I've gone viral, or, you know, I can't do it anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. They're all about the branding, marketing, and so forth. The operations always kind of we deal with that when it gets to it, right? Yeah. And
as long as the wheels aren't falling off, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And then they just don't know how to do it. And that's when we kind of say, right, that's why we're here. We take it, we'll manage it all for you. And the nice thing is where we manage the import, the packaging at source, you know, the fulfillment, we literally have the whole
supply chain.
The whole supply chain, yeah. So it works really nicely. So we can, and you know, what's really great is we can obviously, where we have volume on the freight side, we can then do pricing pretty well on. So it falls into each other quite nicely. But I feel like it's that control tower view that we give.
And is there like a sweet spot, like ideal customer for you guys?
Yeah, for me. So for Smart Logistix, it's very different, right? So for Smart Logistix, we have actually a lot of the brands that we are working with are kind of like 50 mil plus.
Got you.
They're like, you know, huge volumes that we work with. So that's a very different, not to say we don't, obviously we've got a complete mixed bag, but predominantly it's kind of 50 mil plus.
Yeah, it works.
And that's where it works. But then for Opstrive, it's completely different, actually. Right. We have from anywhere from startup essentially to like the 15 mil mark, 10 to 15 million.
Oh, right, okay.
And that's just purely because I actually am really passionate about
helping them get there.
and it's watching them grow. I love that. Yeah. That's what I really love, right? Yeah. And I feel like that's where we can really support. That's what I was looking for, if you like, when I was helping build Amara, you know, rather than multiple brands, having that one person that we could go to. So I feel like that's what I'm building now, because I think it's so exciting. So exciting.
And no, I can massively relate. Yeah, I can massively relate. One of my like a client that I've been working with, they've just sold to Globally recently.
Oh, okay.
Passport. So
Interesting.
yeah, 425 mil, I think it was.
Wow.
But I helped him basically break into the UK market.
Okay.
So it was like a little passion, come on, like, want you guys to get there. So yeah, I could totally relate to that.
Oh, so that was amazing for you to see.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's nice, isn't it? When you see like your clients do well.
Absolutely.
It's relatable.
I feel like if we're all doing well, then that's how it should be. But and Globally are
monster.
Yeah. I mean, we worked with Globally before. Yeah.
Have you?
We implemented Globally into a Basque. Just to help with the international side to get us off the ground. But that's exciting for you.
Well, in terms of the podcast, Women in Logistix.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously been a very successful woman in logistics, as is. Have you had a mentor? Have you had anyone that you looked up to?
I've never, and I actually toyed with this. Like, should I get a mentor? Because as business owners, you're like, should I have one? Should I, so many people talk about it being a great thing. But actually, I do think I'm extremely lucky that I'm really close with very successful people.
Yes.
Who have helped me get this far. So from Amara Living, Andrew Hood and Sam Hood, the owners, I went for dinner with them the other night. Do you know what I mean? I'm still very close to them. They've helped guide me and still help now. And then I have, the team that I had at Basque as well. So they helped. And then I've also got, family and close friends that are also being successful in building their own businesses, different industries. Yeah. But as in, it still takes the same type of person and you still have, the same, P&L. Do you see what I mean? It's all of that type of stuff and the vision and building teams, cultures and so forth that actually I really lean into.
Having a sort of contrast of opinions, industries,
which is really good as well because then you kind of take snippets. You're like, I like that. Okay, that makes sense. So at the moment, I haven't got like a solo mentor. Yeah, I don't think I would never say never. I think actually I know some people that do, and it's been amazing for them. But right now I'm kind of still very close with people that actually I just lean into at the moment.
And has there been anyone in the industry that you like? I'm not going to say secretly look up to, but like, inspire. That like you've always thought they're great, and I'd love to follow in footsteps, but like they don't know you think that.
I think there's always been. I've never had like one person.
Like
I'm
an
like,
idol.
oh my god, I'm not really that type of person, to be honest. Like even with celebrity, I'm not really, massively. But I have looked at people and gone, wow, look at what you've built. You've sold it, you've exited, you're very successful in your own rights. Now you're kind of at investor level, they're going around. And that I do look at. And it's an absolute inspiration. It's like you could, that's what you aspire. Insane. Yeah. And I love listening to them or, there's so many inspiring leaders out there.
Yes.
So I actually enjoy listening to their stories. And then that I think just motivates me to go, if they can do it, we can do it. Yeah. And their stories, the stories are all pretty similar as well. Yeah. Again, kind of fell into things, built. So I think actually there's a lot of people that have given me the inspiration and have inspired me and still do along the way, right? Yeah. Or people that haven't exited yet that are still building, that I'm close to. And I look at them and I think, wow, look at what you're building. It's fantastic. And it spurs you to,
100%. Yeah.
But no, I don't have someone's
big
poster
on the wall
in my bedroom. No, not yet.
No, fair. And I guess like you're young into motherhood.
Yes.
Business owner, multi-business owner, young into motherhood. Like there might be women and people in general, that are in that sort of similar spot. Like what would you say your advice would be to them for taking on, two pretty mammoth responsibilities?
it's so different. It's really difficult. It is challenging. But you know what? I'm just someone that just throw yourself into it. So I think for me, look, I'm not like a full-time mum. Like, I get that. I'm kind of more of like a part-time mum. You know, and actually not a lot of people talk about it, but you know, maternity leave, I had 3 months maternity leave and I was back in the city.
Right.
And I actually struggled on maternity leave. I didn't take any leave beforehand because I didn't want to face the thought of the hospital. And so I was like, no, just work.
Distraction.
Yeah. So I literally remember the day I stopped working or going into London. I worked from home. I was on the trains and I was just in so much pain. So I literally worked until I could not. I had all my friends saying, stop working, stop. And I was like, no. So I took 3 months because we were also heading into peak period.
Right.
And that was like year 1. So I knew how important that, and I know I had a child as well. So, but I really struggled with maternity leave. I think for when you're 24/7 and you're go to just you at home with the baby, I found that a real hard adjustment. I'm very fortunate. My mum is Hugo's nanny. So they have an amazing relationship. So she's with Hugo Monday to Friday, he goes to nursery. I think the thing for me with working in the city is I didn't get to see him nowhere near as much as I used to. So that actually forced me into starting my own thing and leaving London and that role there, which they completely understood at that point. It just wasn't working. So I feel I was leaving the house at 7 a.m, getting home at 7:15, 7:30 at night, and he would be falling asleep. So Monday to Friday, I found that really difficult. And, you know, when they start, you know, actually, you know, talking or trying to talk and, you know, it become too much. It was horrible. And I really struggled. And I'd be sitting on the tube and sometimes, I know it's like crazy to say, but I'd get upset. And I was like, something has to change. The mum guilt was pretty real. Really but then now I have flexibility. So I work more hours as we do. But I know at 5:30 I go collect Hugo from nursery, which I could never do before. You know, make dinner, cool. We have dinner, put him to bed, have bath time, and then I can start again. So it's completely flexible now. So it's really challenging. But I think what I keep telling myself is I'm doing it for him. Right. And that's why I'm doing it. And, you know, we can go on holidays or we can do things and we can do that because, you know, we've got to work. And I want him to look at me when he's grown up and say, my mum did this and built this. And that's the real drive in me is for him to turn around and say, my mum did that. So it's challenging. It's hard for women. I think it is. But
because that's probably the other factor, isn't it? I guess in terms of careering trajectory and stuff, like, you know, if you haven't had children, like that's always going to be a milestone you're going to come across and have to handle. But like, it's cool hearing how you just approach things. It sounds like, you know, you see an obstacle and you just really lean into it and like you know.
I'm not one to kind of
positive way of handling it or
you have to, I think. I mean, look, personally, you know, in work we all come across things, don't we? You know, nothing's smooth sailing. It's the way the world is, right? But I just feel like, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm like, oh God, you know, but I just feel like, okay, it is what it is. How do we just move forward? And I've always pretty much been of that mindset and quite, you know, straight laced with it. Like my family will always say, like in the family, I'm like the stern, like it's fine, just do it. Just
driven one.
Yeah. Like I'm probably not the most like, you know, one with all the sympathy and everything. Kind of just like
straight to it. Okay. And I don't think I asked that. Did your parents ever work in the industry or?
No, not at all. My parents, my dad was like foreman of construction sites in the city. So he would always do kind of long hours. And my mum worked as a PA in a school. Right. So my life.
That's quite cool. You've kind of gone on that bit of a journey. You've done the assistant thing initially and then like you're now probably following, dad's footsteps of,
Yeah. So, and, you know, it was, my parents were always really good to me. I had a great childhood. They're the most supportive parents ever. I'm very, very lucky, very lucky. We didn't, when I was growing up, we didn't have anything. Hence why I was probably selling sweets on the bus, right? We didn't have money as such when I was growing up. It was kind of when it was maybe like 17, they started having a bit more money around them.
Yeah.
But we couldn't afford to go on, holidays overseas. So my dad is from Ireland. So we'd pack the car.
Yeah.
And we would go by a car because the planes were too expensive for, flying was too expensive. So, and I think that's probably what's given me my motivation.
Yeah.
Is, I want to have a good life. I want Hugo to have, a great life. Yeah. And it's given me my drive to then ultimately support my family, right? But they've got really supportive, and like I said, mum's Hugo's nanny. So got a great support system.
Absolutely.
To make it work.
No, it sounds like you got a nice support system. And he's young. He's obviously, he's 3, right?
He's feral.
So, and would you sort of say logistics is a great industry to get into?
I would love. Do you know what makes me laugh? And this is so stupid, but he's really into tractors, trucks, everything.
Is he?
And
I bet your dad's
drive.
loving that.
And he goes, look, a lorry. I'm like, yes, it's good.
He knows what.
Yes, you know what. Okay, fine. That's but I would never, I would always want him to make his own decisions, learn different things. I'll never be a pushy parent. I want him to do, I found my way. I want him to find his. But I'd love, that would be amazing. The ultimate goal would be, build the successful business and kind of having, your son step in and take that, or that would be a dream. But who knows? He's into lorries at the moment. So
Yeah, that's amazing. And if you were going to go back to 17-year-old Sarah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't even remember my name at that point.
What advice would you give her?
Oh God. I think the advice I would give, because if I think about when I was kind of the mid-20s and I was, going into management early doors and whatever, and managing teams and learning about different people, because you have to learn about people and different management styles for different people. I was quite nervous going into that. There was a part of you that's like, can you do this? Are you good enough? I didn't really lean into anyone then. Right. I kind of felt like, okay, I have to just do it myself. I can't ask for help because that shows a bit of weakness.
Yeah.
Or that shows to someone that I'm not capable as such. So although I had good people backing me, I didn't get any outside support or ask for as much help as maybe I could have. So I feel like for the 17-year-old or for people now that are kind of, starting out in their career, I think actually the advice would be is just talk to people. You'll learn so much more and quicker if actually you can ask for advice rather than just seeing it as a weakness, which still sometimes I can be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually it's being a bit bolder and just saying, okay, and what did you do here or what did you do? I just kind of felt like I had to learn it myself.
Yeah, sort of prove yourself along the way.
Which you don't need to do that.
No,
it's just my way of doing it.
Oh.
So
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having
you
on. And I hope it's been a good experience.
It's been really great. Thank you so much for having me.